Hey everyone, gather round. I want to share a story with you, a powerful one that has echoed through thousands of years. It's a story about promise, fear, and the incredible power of faith. Picture this, the people of Israel, after decades of wandering, finally stand at the edge of their destiny. They're at the border of the promised land, the place God swore he would give them. A land described as flowing with milk and honey. After all the desert heat, all the uncertainty, all the long nights under the stars, they were finally home. Or so they thought. Just before they were to enter, God gave an instruction to Moses. He said, "Choose 12 men, one from each tribe. Let them go ahead and explore the land first, a reconnaissance mission." So 12 leaders were chosen. Among them were two men you'll want to remember, Joshua and Caleb. These weren't just ordinary men. They were men whose hearts were absolutely convinced that God was on their side. So these 12 spies slipped quietly into the new territory. And what they saw, it was breathtaking. The land was everything God had promised and more. Lush green valleys, fields ripe for harvest, and fruit so large and sweet it seemed almost unreal. In fact, they found a single cluster of grapes so massive that it took 2 grown men to carry it on a pole between them. Can you imagine? That's how abundant, how blessed this land was. It was tangible proof of God's goodness, but they saw something else too, something that made their hearts pound in their chests. The cities in this beautiful land were fortresses, with walls so high they seemed to scrape the sky, and the people who lived there, they were formidable, powerful, well-equipped warriors. To the spies, some of them looked like giants. These were not people you'd want to pick a fight with. The spies felt small, insignificant, after 40 days of scouting. They returned to the Israelite camp. The entire nation gathered, buzzing with anticipation. Eager to hear the report, the spies started by showing everyone the proof of the land's goodness. They held up that giant cluster of grapes and declared, "The land truly flows with milk and honey," just as God said. A wave of excitement must have rippled through the crowd. This was it. But then, the atmosphere shifted. 10 of the spies let their fear take over. Their voices dropped. But they said, "The people there are powerful. The cities are heavily fortified. We saw giants there, and we felt like grasshoppers next to them. There is no way we can conquer that land." Just like that. A single word, but poisoned the entire atmosphere. The excitement vanished, replaced by a cold. Creeping dread, the report from those 10 spies spread like a wildfire of fear through the entire camp. People began to weep, to wail. Their dreams of a new home evaporated. Some even started shouting, "Let's choose a new leader and go back to Egypt." At least we had food and shelter there. They were ready to trade their glorious future for a familiar, miserable past. But not Caleb. In the midst of this rising tide of panic, Caleb stepped forward. His voice was strong, sure, and bold. He silenced the crowd and said, "We should go up and take possession of the land, for we can certainly do it." He wasn't looking at the giants. He was looking at God, Joshua, his faithful companion. Stood with him, he pleaded with the people. "The land we passed through and explored is exceedingly good. If the Lord is pleased with us, he will lead us into that land, a land flowing with milk and honey, and will give it to us. Only do not rebel against the Lord. And do not be afraid of the people of the land, because we will devour them. The protection is gone, but the Lord is with us. Do not be afraid of them." They were trying to remind everyone of the promise, of God's power. But it was too late. The people had already made their choice. They listened to the 10 voices of fear, not the 2 voices of faith. They chose to believe in the size of the giants rather than the size of their God. And that choice had a devastating consequence. Because the people allowed fear to rule them, God delivered a sobering judgment. He said that for every one of the 40 days the spies had explored the land, the people would wander in the desert for a year. 40 years, an entire generation, consumed by the wilderness, would never see the promised land. They were so close, yet their fear pushed it a lifetime away. Only 2 men from that entire generation would live to enter the land. Who were they? Joshua and Caleb, the ones who believed, the ones who held on to the promise. Even when it looked impossible, 40 years later, as old men, they walked into the land God had promised them. because their faith never wavered. So what does this ancient story teach us today, right here, right now? It teaches us that we all have a choice in our lives. We will all face giants. These could be challenges at work, financial struggles, health issues, or relationship problems. We'll see the promise God has for us, but we'll also see the intimidating walls and the powerful obstacles standing in the way. And in that moment, we have to decide which report we're going to believe. Are we going to listen to the 10 voices of fear that tell us we rate us small, too weak, that the problem is too big, that we're just grasshoppers? Or are we going to be a Caleb, a Joshua? Are we going to silence the doubt and declare that if God is with us, we can absolutely overcome? Faith isn't about ignoring the problems. The giants were real. The walls were high. Faith is about seeing the problem, but choosing to focus on a God who is infinitely bigger. It's about remembering his past faithfulness and trusting his future promises. It's about knowing that with him, the odds are always in our favor. So the next time you feel like a grasshopper facing a giant, remember this story. Remember Joshua and Caleb. Choose faith over fear. Hold on to the promise. Because the God who brought the Israelites to the edge of their destiny is the same God who is with you today. Thanks so much for watching and for letting me share this with you. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe for more content that I hope will encourage and inspire you. Until next time, hold on to faith.